जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज विहारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल हरे कृष्णा.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice. Okay, so who would like to recite the Mangalacharan?
Yeah, can I try, Prabhuji?
Yeah, please.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Thank you. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितेन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टः स्थापित येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्या ददाति स्वपदान्तिकमः. वन्दे श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलः श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपसाग्रजात सहगण रघुनाथान्वित सजीवम् साद्वैत सावधूत परिजन सहित कृष्ण चैतन्य देवः श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्तिवाश्च. हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते. तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धु एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदः. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, we are in chapter 12. And we read up to text 11. Yes.
Something went wrong. Please try again.
We read up to text 12 yesterday. So now we are on to 13 and 14. So prior to this, from text 8 through text 12, Krishna has been telling us about the different levels of devotion and how an advanced devotee, one who is totally in Krishna consciousness, how he he fixes his mind and intelligence uh, upon Krishna and is able to think of him all the time, and he does his bhakti that way. Now that's a very elevated platform, and uh, uh, people in ISKCON, for instance, are Guru, not the largest, the highest of the gurus, Prabhupada, and then several of the acharyas, where we can say they're all in at that level. They were at that level, or they are. And the others are in Krishna consciousness, but they're all aspiring to constantly improve every day. Every day. Then we had uh, Krishna came down one level, and then he described about how we can uh, uh, by uh, having a a disciple of a guru, you can that way you can by following the regulative principles of uh, uh, of bhakti, then you can advance gradually. And then he went down another two or three levels, and after that, uh, 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 things like gaining knowledge and being doing social welfare and so on, and renunciation, and then being cleaning one's mind essentially, uh, and then gradually elevating oneself. So now we are on to 13 and 14. Now Krishna is finished with that part of it. And so in these verses, now he is going to describe the qualities of a pure devotee. Uh, the one, the type who fixes his intelligence and mind upon him. What are his attributes? What are his qualities the, that he observes and that he has gained through the bhakti over all the years? So with that, we can start uh, verses 13 and 14. So I will just read it first. Advaita sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha narmamo nirahankaraha samadukha sukha shami santushta satatam yogi yatatma dridda nishchayaha mai arpita mano buddhir yoma yomat bhaktah sa me priyaha. Hare Krishna. Who would like to
I can
read
try,
it?
Guruji.
Yeah, please.
Harshadi Vidhana Pranam, always Shripodu. Adhyasta Sharva Bhutanam Maitra Karuna Evacha Nirmamo Nirahankaro Samadukha Sukha Shkami Santushta Satatam Yogi Jatatma Dhiranishchaya Moi Arpita Mano Buddhi Yo Madbhakta Same Priya. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Another devotee.
Hare Krishna, I can answer.
Yeah.
Advaita sarvabhutana maitra karna eva cha nirmamo nirankaraha samadukkhakshama sukakshami santushta satatam yogi yatatma dhrudanischayah mayyarpita mano bedde yo madbhaktya same priyaha. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Lord. Anyone else would like to try?
I think Basuti Mataji, sorry Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I can try.
Yeah, please go ahead, Mama.
All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Avestya sarvabhutanam maitraha karuna eva cha nirmama nirahankaraha samadukha sukhakshami santushta satatam yogi yatatma drura nishchaya mayarpita mano buddhir yo madbhaktah same priyaha. Back to Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else? Okay. You go on to the synonyms and translation. Who would like to read the synonyms and translation?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead, Madhu.
Adveshta, non-envious. Sarvabhutanam, towards all living entities. Maitra, friendly. Karuna, kindly. Eva, certainly. Cha, also. Nirmamaha, with no sense of proprietorship. Nirahankaraha, without false ego. Sama, equal. Dukha, in distress. Sukha, and happiness. Kshami, forgiving. Santushtaha, satisfied. Satatam, always. Yogi, one engaged in devotion. Yata Atma, self controlled. Driha Nishchayaha, with determination. Mayi, upon me. Arpita, engaged. Manaha, mind. Buddhihi, and intelligence. Yaha, one who. Mat Bhaktaha, my devotee. Saha, he. Me, to me. Me, to me. Priyaha, dear. Translation: one who is not envious but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination. His mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Okay. It's a fairly long, well, it's not too long, but I think still two of us can read this. So maybe half of it, one devotee can read, and then let me see, maybe yeah, up to this point, one devotee can read.
Vijay, I can try first 10 lines. Is that okay?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah. Purport by Sri Prabhupada. Coming again to the point of pure devotional service, the Lord is describing the transcendental qualification of a pure devotee in these two verses. A pure devotee is never disturbed in any circumstances, nor is he envious of anyone, nor does a devotee become his enemy's enemy. He thinks this person is acting as my enemy due to my own past mistakes. So it is better to suffer than to protest. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 10.14.8, it is stated, Tatte nukampam su samikshamano bhunjanaha evatma kritam vipakkam. Whenever a devotee is in distress or has fallen into difficulty, he thinks that it is the Lord's mercy upon him. He thinks, thanks to my past misdeeds, I should suffer far greater than I am suffering now. So it is by the mercy of the Supreme Lord that I am not getting all the punishment I am due. I am just getting a little by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he is always calm, quiet, and patient, despite many distressful conditions. A devotee is also always kind to everyone, even to his enemy. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Like to say anything on this part of it?
Maybe I can do after the complete purport is done.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank
Sure.
you. Yeah.
Okay, who would like to finish the remaining purport?
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Okay, you can.
May I read, Prabhuji?
Yeah, from here.
Even is in me, this last na Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Nirmama from here.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. Abhay Charana Sri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai. Nirmana means that a devotee does not attach much importance to the pains and trouble pertaining to the body because he knows perfectly well that he is not the material body. He does not identify with the body. Therefore, he is freed from the conception of false ego and is equalized, equipped in happiness and distress. He is tolerant and he is satisfied with whatever comes by the grace of Supreme Lord. He does not endeavor much to achieve something with great difficulty. Therefore, he is always joyful. He is completely perfect, mystic, because he is fixed in the instructions received from the spiritual master. And because his senses are controlled, he is determined. He is not swayed by false arguments because no one can lead him from the fixed det- determination of devotional service. He is fully conscious that Krishna is the eternal Lord, so no one can disturb him. All these qualifications enable him to fix his mind and intelligence entirely on the Supreme Lord. Such a standard of devotional service is undoubtedly very rare, but a devotee becomes situated in the stage of following the regulative principles of devotional service. Furthermore, the Lord says that such a devotee is very dear to him, for the Lord is always pleased with his activities in full Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
To add anything? What you read?
So, what I understood, Prabhuji, just now I joined in this, but we should surrender to Lord Sri Krishna and we should follow and no false arguments like that. We should always preach Sri Lord Sri Krishna without anything, no, without false ego, etc. So that much of subject I have understood, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Mahesh Prabhu, you want to?
So thank you, Prabhuji. So in the first paragraph, basically Prabhupada ji is giving us some information about like why we are suffering. And the reason we are suffering is because of our past deeds. And since in the past we might have done something wrong, and that's the reason we are getting this punishment. But this is again a little bit, not very much, I will say. And since the Lord Sri Krishna is giving us mm, the I will say like he's telling us, okay, if you do something wrong, you will suffer even more than that what you are doing right now. So better not to do anything and just think like a sthita prajna person, or like who is not uh, happy or distressed or anything because of any of the events. He just thinks that everything is just a Krishna consciousness, and he just do the devotion to Lord Sri Krishna. That is my understanding from here, from the first paragraph. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. I think that's very good. Any other thoughts from anyone else? Any other comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Then yes, Prabhuji, wonderfully explained by both Prabhujis. As we can see, the common theme here is like, the devotee is ready to accept any such sufferings as kindness of Krishna. As we can see, Mother Kunti, even Pandavas, they were having this kind of, sufferings all the time. But they took it as a mercy of, even though Krishna was with them, they still had that. They took it as mercy of Lord Krishna. So the devotee has to be tolerant like a tree and humble as a blade of grass, because they are never disturbed by any circumstances. Even some suffering comes, they think that it should have been even more, but Lord reduced it, you know, because of his kindness. He thinks even his enemy has to be, because he sees everybody in the same platform, because he sees Lord Paramatma in their hearts. So he doesn't feel, and he just feels that all that is going on with me is because of my past deeds. As we know, like karma, is there. And beautiful shloka, Srila Prabhupada mentioned tattena kampa susishi susamikshamano gunjana evatmakritam pakam. So there it says that my Lord, one earnestly waits, to bestow your causeless mercy upon me, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of the misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with the heart. But so that way, the devotee is always, in that mood, and he is satisfied whatever he gets. He's not selfish, he's not egoistic. Why he has more money, I have more money. In fact, if there is like a Srila Prabhupada, he lost all his money, he lost all his business, but then he thought that, oh, this is mercy of my guru, so that now I can focus more on Krishna consciousness. And by the order of his spiritual master, he said that now I have to fulfill my wishes of my spiritual master. So he at the age of even 60s and late 60s, he traveled all over across the planet to give us this Krishna consciousness in this Western world. And it caught up like a forest fire all around the world. So when we are free from false ego, and we think that we know that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul, and they are equipoised, then happiness and distress are similar, like Sitoshna Sukha Dukkada, like summer and winter, the happiness and sadness will be there. And he's whatever he gets, he's satisfied. That has Lord's mercy, and does not endeavor more or to achieve more, earn more for multiple generations. But we don't know what will happen to the next generation. And the devotee is always self-controlled, and he's determined, and he has complete control. Of course, not complete, but sadhakas have, but the pure devotees have complete control on their senses. Therefore, they are determined, and we have to try to chant our rounds in the Brahma Murta and Bhagavatam, all with the association of devotees. So in that way, our mind and intelligence should be fixed on the Supreme Lord, and we should be fully in Krishna consciousness. That way, we can easily understand Lord Krishna's mercy. That's my understanding. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Babuji. You pretty much summarized the whole purport. It's very nice. So I'll just add a few things and maybe repetition, some of it. But anyway, this verse is showing us all the different qualities, not necessarily all, because I think the verses that follow will have more description, I think, right up to the end of this chapter. So uh, it's really a high bar. It's what you aspire to. And many of us, and I'm talking about myself, there are several of these qualities that I like to get, but it'll take a while. Like Prabhuji just said, it's a question of cleaning our heart and chanting our rounds and associating with the devotees and so on, so that our mind is not disturbed by all external influences. And we try and reduce as to the minimum the external influences, because those will always disturb our minds and distract us from our bhakti. But the devotees who are uh, so elevated, none of that will bother them. They can quickly brush it off and move on to what they're doing. So several qualities are mentioned here. Uh, the person obviously does not have a false ego, is not envious, and false ego means that they're associating with the body and they're totally uh, involved in sense gratification, and it's always what is there in it for me, that kind of attitude. On the other hand, the devotee, he has what we can say is a true ego. And true ego means that he is a servant of Krishna, that he's serving all the time, he's serving Krishna. And chanting is one way, and there are several other ways which you have discussed many times. Then he's also a friend to all living entities. So uh, whether it's a because as Prabhuji said, he sees Paramatma in everyone's heart, and it's not just to uh, the human beings, but also other living entities, such as animals and so on. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, we had the case of Bharat Maharaj and who was later Chet Bharat, and because he was attracted to a deer, although he was doing a lot of penance. So next life he was born as a deer, and then but the deer was near an ashram, and then quietly led its life near the ashram, and then when it left its body, the next time he was he was born in a family, and but he knew his past life, and so then he pretended to be deaf and dumb, and uh, because he knew that if he kept associating with those people who are totally in the material world, he would again be corrupted, and all his penance and tapasya would be lost. So now he was totally determined during that lifetime to make sure that he was completely devoted to his bhakti. So, of course, we cannot be that sincere. If you can, all the power to you. But that's just an example. So he by getting rid of the false ego and knowing the constitutional position, being part and parcel of Krishna, that we are the soul, not the we are the soul, not the body, and so on, which we have read through the various chapters. So we can then have a seva attitude and serving Krishna, and then because that becomes a true ego. Uh, the other thing is that other point is that happiness and distress, the sukha dukkha. So this comes up frequently, whether it's hot or cold. You're saying that in the northern part of the country it's now extremely cold, and I have lived there many years. I've gone through all that cold, but that time I was working working career and not in Krishna consciousness. So, but still, I had to endure, and it wasn't enjoyable, I can tell you. When there was 10 and 14 inches of snow, driving on those roads in fierce howling winds, it was really scary. But anyway, I went through all that. That's why I'm in Florida now. But so one has to endure all kinds of whether it's the weather or it can be other. Uh, there can be something happening in our lives, uh, which is easier said than done. But we still have to endure that and take it, take the happiness and distress with equanimity. So we look upon both. We don't get too depressed. We don't go too high. We just stay in a medium middle mode, you can say. Uh, as Prabhuji already mentioned, also tolerance is another feature for a devotee. Uh, for a as tolerant as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, tolerant as a tree and humble as a blade of grass. And a tree is tolerant because you know that a tree is uh, can take all the wind and the rain, and it's by nature. In the northern part of the country, the trees are uh, those type of trees which shed their leaves during the winter and then they regain them in the fall. So the tree has to go through a lot of wind and rain, and here in Florida we have hurricanes. So it's a and still it has to bear all the abuse that it gets, and it's very tolerant. And of course, the blade of grass, that it trampled upon by everyone and all kinds of abuse on it, but it still comes back to its the way it was, and it keeps growing and growing. So those are just examples of how devotee can be humble as a blade of grass and tolerant as a tree. Uh, then the other good point, the other point, important point here is that we have to be self-controlled, meaning that we have to be satisfied with what we earn. We should not be hankering for uh, more and more and more, because where does that lead? It only leads to more sense gratification, and that's a vicious circle that never ends. So it will come back to haunt us. The more we are engrossed in material sense gratification and think that we can lord it over material nature, as Prabhupada has several times described, then the more we get into like a quagmire, and we can never come out of it. On the other hand, the devotee, he's satisfied with what he has because he knows eventually the more material sense gratification that we have, the the less we have in terms of devotion and focusing on the devotion. So if you want to keep advancing on the bhakti, there's nothing wrong, as Sri Rama Prabhuji has many times he has said, of making money, but then you have to understand that, that's not the end all. What is we use that to the service of Krishna by donating uh, and doing other service, so that we don't all the time uh, uh, keep being engrossed in material money making and so on. So basically, the point there is we should be satisfied with whatever Krishna has given us. These are, after all, his resources that we're using, and we should be happy. We should happy and be satisfied with what we are able to earn. Uh, then there is also a point is being made here that there are people who are constantly trying to uh, argue uh, against what we are trying to do. The outside influences. They can be even in a family, like some brothers and so on, or they can be the outside influence, people whom you have known in the past, and they might they might say, "Oh, why are you into all this?" And it's all mythology and so on. Well, that's not the case because the way a pure devotee is not swayed by that. He doesn't he's not going to argue with them, but then he is going to basically politely ignore them and move on. So when they say it's mythology, it's because out of ignorance. They have not read the Bhagavad Gita or gone into the Srimad Bhagavatam, because what we see there is just total nectar, because it's constantly telling us how what we have to do and where we have to go. So uh, so the one more point is that having the guidance of a spiritual master is important. And so in this case, for those of us who don't have one, we have Prabhupada. And the guidance of a spiritual master enables the devotee to keep uh, uh, following the bhakti with the regulative principles of devotional service. He he is able to this way advance and try and get imbibe certain many of these some of these many or some of all these qualities into his life so that his sadhana can keep improving. So those are some of the things I wanted to say on this. But if any other devotee wants to add, uh, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhuji, very nicely you Prabhuji explained about the devotees' kindness. They are equipoised. They are very kind to the others. So Prabhuji, I just would like to give some example of the equipoised devotees, our acharyas. So, and they always thinks that their pain, that what they are getting because of their karma, or what, so they never blame anyone for their sufferings. They always equipoised with either happiness or in distress. And when Haridas Thakur, Srila Haridas Thakur, when he was those king's soldiers were beating him on the marketplace, he always thinks about themselves. Like he always thinking in his mind that um, let Krishna forgive them, let Krishna forgive. Always he was thinking. So he never he never thinks that that is their fault. He always thinking like that is my karma. Even when Haridas Thakur was in the court, asking, judge was asking him, Haridas Thakur said that this is nothing, maybe I should get more, but because of Krishna's mercy I get less punishment. So that is the attitude of the devotees. They never complain what they are getting, whether it's suffering or whether it's mercy of the Lord. So whatever they get, they think that's all mercy of the Lord. So that's the beauty of the pure devotees. And as you give the examples of Parikshit Maharaj, and Prabhuji give the example of I think Prabhuji, Shubal Prabhu gave example of
Jai Bharat.
Jar Bharat, yeah. So those are all wonderful examples we have in our shastras, and we should learn from them. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, he was very rich. He was a son of a rich jamindar. He has everything, but still Raghunath Das Goswami, because of to get the love of the Godhead, he left home so many times and went to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu said, "No, this is not your time. Go home and do whatever your Garhastha activity." in your and to do that. And when time comes, you will definitely come to the congregation. So all the acharyas, they showed their example. And Srila Jiva Goswami, he just drank once a day as a cup of buttermilk. So the whole day, in his life, like certain time of in his life. So they were all like very very exalted devotees, showed their examples. And Srila Prabhupada, so much austerity, so much trouble he took during his journey. Um, 3 months he was in the cargo ship, and I heard from a senior devotee that the cargo ship is not like a regular ship. Those cargo ships, all the goods are um, goes with that in that ship. And Prabhupada has a lot of trouble sitting comfortably there. And he still never complained. He never complained about anything. He just took his Chaitanya Charitamrita and Bhagavad Gita, and he had 2 heart attacks in the cargo ship while traveling for 3 months. And after that, in United States, everyone knows how much struggle he faced during his preaching. It was not easy. I cannot imagine, I cannot think about so much uh, hardship he took to preach the Krishna consciousness. And whenever someone asks him anything, he says, I am just obeying my Guru Maharaj's order. This is nothing, I am doing it. Just all for my Guru Maharaj. So he never takes any credit. He had no false ego of himself. So those are the qualities the pure devotee showed to us. And so that's what Prabhuji, I just would like to add here. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice. That's all those uh, examples you gave of previous acharyas. They all sacrificed so much, and they were real, sincere, very elevated devotees. And uh, uh, today, what Prabhupada wants us to do is do our chanting, and our chanting, as Sai Krishna Prabhu explained yesterday, chanting is basically the more we do it sincerely, the more it will clean our heart. Right now, our heart is uh, totally covered by a uh, uh, thick window through which we cannot see anything. So, as we keep doing our chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it'll help. But we've got to do it very sincerely. So let me see if I can, in the Srimad Bhagavatam verse 10, if I can pull that up. I don't know if it's possible. I'll try. Yeah, okay. Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, I think. Yeah, yeah, okay. 14. This one. Okay. Yeah. You remember which verse it is? 10, 14, 8.
Prabhuji, if you click that verse, it will directly come.
Oh, it will? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know it's too late.
It's okay.
Okay. All right. So, Mataji, you would like to read this verse?
I'll try, Prabhuji. It's different. तत्तेऽनुकम्पां सुसमीक्षमानो भुञ्जानो एवात्मकृतं विपाक्यं हृद्वाग्भपूभिर्विदधन् नमस्ते जेत्वा यो मुक्तिपदे साधयावाक्.
Thank you, Mataji. Right. Who would like to read the translation? You don't have to read the synonyms.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I can.
Okay.
My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, he is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. So this verse is in Srimad Bhagavatam, and this Brahma's prayers to the Lord, because there's a long story here. Brahma stealing calves, and then Krishna through his Maya creating an equivalent where Krishna created the also created the calves and all the gopis and so on. And in each of those, Krishna himself, through the Maya, he he essentially he himself through his uh, 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 incarnations uh, essentially uh, was in the place of all the gopis and all the and all the calves and so on. So Brahma was totally mystified. He thought he would just was going to check. He was just going to see how this little boy, this young Krishna, uh, how could he be the Supreme Lord? He wanted to just test him in a way, and that was a mistake because and then once Krishna did his Maya, his Maya was nothing in front of what Krishna did. And then Brahma realized, and then Brahma starts offering all these beautiful prayers in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's where uh, so let's see if there's anything. There are a lot of things in this, but we don't have to. Uh, Here he's talking about one who simply remains in Krishna consciousness, following the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, automatically becomes eligible to receive the mercy of the personality of Godhead. In other words, he'll be promoted to the kingdom of God. Then uh, here he's talking about how the devotee who is who takes the punishment in the uh, present life because of what has happened in the previous life and or previous because of the karma, and the Lord uh, uh, is removing the uh, some of these punishments, but he may still have to endure some, and the devotee gladly accepts whatever Krishna gives him. If he gives him more punishment, he thinks of it just as a mercy uh, bestowed upon him by Krishna. And once he has gone through all that, then he knows that Krishna will liberate him. It's because of, as it says here, because of a karmic reaction. Sincere devotee earnestly desires to go back to the Lord's abode. Therefore, he willingly accepts the Lord's merciful punishment and continues offering prayers, offering respects and obeisances to the Lord with his heart, words, and body. Such a bona fide servant of the Lord, considering all hardship, a small price to pay for gaining the personal association of the Lord, certainly becomes a legitimate son of God. So, uh, so this verse is, this is the verse that Prabhupada is referring to in the Bhagavad Gita. So, any other comments? I don't think we have time to go to the next verse. So, you have any other comments or anything? Baldev Sev Prabhu, you haven't said anything today.
Actually, nicely explained everything by you, Prabhuji, Mataji's. And as the verse you just read, that is very important part that is called like this is the jewel for the devotee to hang around the neck, and also Amanya Mandana Kitana Shadahori. We most of the time we utter these verses, but I myself lack to apply. So these two verses actually help us to bring all of the qualities that we'll be going to read in this following 7 verses. Also, Krishna said in the 13th chapter, also 18th chapter, the devotees' qualities. So we can imbibe them if we keep those verses in mind, and also Hariksham Homan will help us with serving devotees and Krishna also. Back to Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Any other comments from anyone else?
I would like to share, I think one of the things that I found very, like, that
Yeah.
stood out to me in this verse was the fact that, like, we need to avoid arguments. That is like, it just wastes everyone's time. And it doesn't even matter sometimes, like, who's right, who's wrong, but that takes away the time that you could have given to bhakti. So at the end of the day, like, a pure devotee or an aspiring devotee should try to avoid all types of arguments unnecessarily, and just, like, quietly, just, and intelligently move away from that argument without, like, false ego. Like, false ego is what is making us, think that, oh, I'm right, somebody else is wrong, or something else right. But if we give more importance to Krishna and our bhakti, then it will not be a problem at all to let go of that and just, like, accept whatever, like, someone says, and move on. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, right, Mataji. Thank you. Because that's what the tolerance is all about. That we are able to uh, tolerate other people and take them for what they are. Uh, we don't want to impose anything on them, and if they are argumentative and in a that type of mode, then we can just be silent and move on, or we don't associate with them either. So that's, I think that's a very good, what you brought up there is a very good point. So anyone else with anything, or should we? Okay. So
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
yeah, go ahead, Mata.
Prabhuji, here in this the Bhagavatam, in this purport, Prabhupada is explaining that the karmic reaction a devotee is it's the suffering what a pure devotee has. It's not a karmic reaction. So it's very important point. Like if a pure devotee go through some health challenges or any other issues, it should not think like we should not think like it's his karmic reaction. It's more like Lord's mercy, like Lord want this devotees to complete all his sufferings here so that he do not have to return back in this material world. So it's Lord's mercy, like he's let him go with those circumstances, and then finally he can go back to Goloka. So sometimes we
Ye-
see that.
Yeah, thank you, Malki. But that would be for a devotee, right? But for a non-devotee, he would be suffering
Yeah,
from a karmic.
non-devotee for suffering, devotee purification for
Yeah,
Maharaj and Guru Maharaj
yeah.
to teach us, to give us lesson how to behave
No,
on this situation.
yeah. Okay. Very good.
Yeah, for the devotees.
For
The
the
Guru
devotees, yeah. For non-devotees, it's
karmic.
more like a suffering and a karmic reaction. Yeah.
And sometimes, like as for example, Srila Bhakti Charuswami Maharaj, like he was in the hospital, he was very sick before he left his body. So some people may think like, who are the non-devotees? They may think like, why there's a big Guru Maharaj, why he's going through? No, it is Krishna's mercy. It's not their karmic reaction, because they are all beyond those uh, sufferings, but it's teaching to the regular people. And Krishna then definitely, maybe when Maharaj was in the hospital, he might not even suffer at all. Like he might not even think, realize the pain or anything. Like he was already, Krishna was taking care of him that time even. But in our material eyes, in this material world, we think like, oh, okay, it's like they're going like that. So that's what I just would like to add, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Malaji. I think you raised a very good point. Very nice. So I think it's time. So let's stop here. If there's nothing else. Vancha kalpatarupascha vipasindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Prabhu,
Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna.
Thank you,
Jai.
Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
All,
Krishna. Thank you. Thank
all
you.
praise to the